Good to see so many of you joining this afternoon. My name is Zoe Ryan. I head up membership assessment. We wanted to run this session today, Demystifying Experience Assessment. We know that some of you have been on online tools, you've looked on the website, you've got questions. So the aim of the session today is to talk you through experience assessment in a bit more detail. We'll run through what's involved, how best to prepare, how to set yourself up for success. We'll also talk through the wider benefits of gaining CIPD membership and how it can support you now and throughout your career. So I'm joined today by some of the team. Got Maggie, Inman, Tisha, Ube, Siri, two of our assessors who are smiling, waving on the screen. We've also got Ollie Howard, who's our head of membership. And also excited to share that we've got a few people who've been through the assessment and they will be joining us on the call too. They've been through the assessment in the last couple of months, achieved chartered membership. So you'll be able to hear firsthand from them how they approach the assessment, how they balance that alongside work, personal commitments, and any tips or advice they've got to someone considering joining. So before we start the session, we wanted to run a quick poll to gauge from you the level of understanding that you currently have about experience assessment. That will help us understand the level of detail that we need to go into the presentation. So you'll start to see the poll appear there. How confident do you feel at the moment? Okay, really good to start getting a sense. Okay, so what's clear is that we've got quite a bit of ground here to do to help you really understand what's involved and how we can support you on that through the assessment. So we'll go through it in detail. We also want to make sure that we've answered any questions you've got to help you decide whether experience assessment is right for you. So we'll be using the chat function throughout the session. So feel free to post your questions in the chat function and we will either respond to those as we go through or we will come back to them at the Q&A session at the end. So, experience assessment, I've mentioned, our direct route to membership. So, exciting that it doesn't involve any exams or studying a qualification. It is a direct route to professional membership. We talk a lot about professional membership. That professional membership, we know, means that you get that designation of those letters after your name. But we thought it would be helpful to start off the presentation by handing over to Ollie, who can really talk us through the benefits of CIPD membership, how it can support you through your career, and how it is, if you like, more than just the professional accreditation, although that in itself is a huge part of it. So Ollie, if I hand over to you.
Thanks very much, Zoe, and thanks everyone for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk you through some of the benefits of being in CIPD membership, both in terms of the practical resources we can provide you with and the value of being part of a professional community of over 160,000 people. Everything that we do for our members falls into these three broad categories. Stuff that we do in order to champion professionalism. That's about representing the profession to the outside world. It's also about putting you in a position where your membership credentials are valued by those that you work with, both in terms of people teams, but also more widely in business. Stuff that we do in order to support you in your day-to-day roles so that you can do really high quality work. built upon some of the resources and advice that we can provide you with, and stuff that we do in order to support you to develop your career over time. Next slide, please. So I'm going to touch on a few things that cover all three of those areas. I want to start just by saying a word about what we really mean by professional membership and what professional membership should mean to the world beyond the CIPD. I know some of you are in membership already, and some of you will be looking to come into membership through experience assessment. Whenever we give somebody a membership grade, that's a reflection of three things. Firstly, that person has met the standards at the appropriate impact level set up in the profession map, and the team will talk a bit more about what all of that means in a bit. Secondly, that you're committed to ongoing CPD, so you're going to continue to learn, maintain currency, develop your skills, and that can be audited by the CIPD, which we do once a year. And that you're bound by the CIPD's Code of Conduct and Ethics. Those things are really important and meaningful as hallmarks of your professionalism to the outside world. And when we give a membership grade, we also issue one of these digital badges that enables you to share that credential with your contacts on LinkedIn, on your email signature, or through a variety of other means, because sharing that professionalism should be of real value to you. We know it improves earning potential and improves access to jobs in the market. Next one, please. But beyond all of that, which is core to our role as a professional body, we also want to put our members in a position where they can rely upon some of the most authoritative resources in order to inform their work. Our Knowledge Hub on the CIPD website has got a huge wealth of information, including well over 100 fact sheets, well over 100 guides, an increasing number of those guides that we're building practical tools into that you can make use of day to day in your roles. We also provide a fantastic service through EBSCO, which provides you with access to articles from 200 leading journals, including the Harvard Business Review, and a fantastic set of communities, including our local branch network and our online community that allows you to tap into the collective expertise of your peers. Next one, please. We provide two magazines, a strategic thought leadership journal to our Chartered Fellows, which is Work magazine, and our People Management magazine, which goes out to all of our members 4 times a year and provides a digest of the real trends and issues affecting people management. You can also sign up to our PM daily email by going to the People Management website, and that provides you with a daily roundup of news from the profession, including things like the latest tribunal outcomes, so you can stay across emerging case law. Next one, please. You can also rely upon our helplines, particularly our employment law helpline is a really valued service for our members. As a chartered member, you get up to 25 calls to this per year. For all of our other members, up to 20 calls per year. And that's a great way to check on a point of law or get advice to how employment law might apply to an individual situation that you're facing in your practice. Next one, please. In terms of career development and support, we provide a lot of this through our Learning Hub. Membership includes access to some tools that you can make use of to plan your learning and to record your learning, which is important for the purposes of maintaining your CPD, which I referred to earlier. There's also some fantastic learning programs themselves that we include as part of membership. Over 40 Essential Insights programs, which are bite-sized pieces of learning that can be easily undertaken in an hour, and our introductory programs, each of which is the equivalent of a full day of training. And we include those on a variety of topics, including all of the core behaviours set out in the profession map. Next one, please. And we also provide some resources that are targeted at helping you to connect with each other and draw support with each other through our mentoring service. You can apply for and find and be matched with a mentor online now, and that's a service that many of our members are finding increasingly useful. We have also developed a career toolkit over the last year, which provides all sorts of useful resources for planning and developing your next career move, including some that are specifically pitched at the senior end of the profession, preparing for your first interview at a senior level and planning out your senior career path as well. So some resources you might find useful there. And last one, please. And finally, because we recognise that working in the profession can be increasingly challenging with the amount of change and volatility there is in the world around us, we want to make sure that we're supporting that as your professional body too. So CIPD members get access to our wellbeing service provided in partnership with Spectrum, which includes access to counselling and to a range of online resources that you can use to help manage your mental, physical and financial well-being. So a wide range of things that we do in order to try and put you in the position to do your best work and to be able to develop an effective career and a fulfilling career within the people profession. And experience assessment is one important step in that journey. I'll hand back to you there. So.
Thank you, Ollie. Thanks. So yes, Ollie has outlined there the value of CIPD membership. So what we wanted to do now is talk very much more about our professional standards, the different professional grades. So if I hand over to Tisha, who can talk you through our membership standards. So Tisha, over to you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Zoe. Fundamentally, we believe CIPD membership enables you to achieve your full potential. So coming into membership with us gives you the opportunity to both develop yourselves as people professionals and recognise your ability against an international benchmark. The profession map sets the international standard for us as people professionals, and it's been built using robust external research and through consultation with thousands of people professionals. And the map sets out the knowledge, behaviours and values that we use on a day-to-day basis to be effective in our roles. So the map is at the heart of everything we do to help drive the people profession forwards. One of the ways we use the people profession map is by breaking down the core elements of it into what we call our membership standards, which helps you understand what skills and behaviours are important at different stages of your career. So the membership standards are really helpful to review, as these are the frameworks on which experience assessment is based. To reflect those different career stages, CIPD has 4 professional membership grades: Foundation, Associate, Chartered Member and Chartered Fellow. And you can see from this outline the different levels of impact associated with each membership grade, from a Foundation member building their skills for the future to a Chartered Fellow putting their years of experience into practice. And we believe the grade of membership you hold should reflect your work, experience and the impact you're making. You can find more information about the different membership grades on our website, as well as free online tools to help you see where you sit in these membership grades. So before we dive deeper into the experience assessment process, we'd love to get a sense of where you are in your CIPD journey at the moment. So if you were to apply for experience assessment, which grade of membership would you be aiming for? Please take a moment to respond to the poll in front of you. That's great. Thanks for sharing. It's great to see such a range of membership goals across the group today. And this will really help us tailor the discussion as we go forward to ensure that it's relevant whether you're aiming for Chartered Member or Chartered Fellow or Associate. And indeed, if you're not sure yet or you're still making up your mind, we can help clarify which level will be right for you as we go through the webinar today. Thank you. So let's talk further about what to expect from our experience assessment route. The first step is to complete the pre-assessment tool on the CIPD website, which is a reflective tool and will help you to understand the requirements of the assessment and judge whether you have the right experience. You can do this as many times as you want at all 3 membership grades with no commitment. Once you've received a successful outcome confirmation from us, you'll be able to register for experience assessment. At this point, we will also screen your CV and flag any risks to you. You'll have 4 weeks to complete the written submission, which will cover how you've applied your knowledge to create impact, and what learning experiences you've had and how you've applied those learnings on a day-to-day basis. After you've submitted your document, you can then book your professional discussion, which happens 3 to 4 weeks later, and you'll receive your results within 4 weeks of your professional discussion. As we take a holistic approach, we will cover some of the membership standards in the examples we ask you in your written submission, and then further standards in the professional discussion. And we'll talk more about this a little later on. This overview gives you an idea of the types of examples we typically ask for at the various membership levels. The core membership standards are work, people, and change, and we recommend you have at least one example for each of these key areas. Our candidate guidance documents and our video guides available on our website go into full detail about the types of examples and evidence you can prepare for the experience assessment. We've designed the assessment to encourage you to reflect on your professional achievements and identify initiatives that have made a difference to your organisations. So whether you're applying for associate or chartered member or chartered fellow membership, we're looking for evidence that you've applied your skills in practice to deliver meaningful outcomes in your role. One thing we know from our members is that they can feel apprehensive coming to the professional discussion. I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Maggie to talk a little more closely about this.
Thank you, Tisha. Yes, we do understand that the thought of a professional discussion can be quite daunting, so we're really trying to demystify it now. So the professional discussion is conducted using Microsoft Teams by an assessor. Just like myself, I'm an assessor, and so is Tisha, who you've just heard. So a fellow people professional. We really want you to succeed, so we take a strengths-based approach, giving you every opportunity to showcase your evidence. We will send you full candidate guidance beforehand, which lists all the main questions that you'll be asked, so you can fully prepare beforehand, so there are no surprises. You can have with you as many notes as you want. It's not supposed to be a memory test, but a conversation. So this is how it goes. So if I was conducting your professional discussion, and this is the same for all our experience assessors, I would first introduce myself and have a little chat to make you feel as comfortable as possible. I will then briefly explore your CV, just so I understand the context from where you will draw your examples from. The first question is about external trends and that are impacting on your organisation and their impact. That discussion will probably last about 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to a question about a piece of work that you've done that has enabled change within your organisation and the value it has created. That is probably a longer conversation and may last about 20 minutes. I may then ask you some questions about your written submission if there's something I didn't quite understand or want more information about. We'll have a short break, and then there are a couple of shorter questions as mentioned on this slide. We finish up discussing your CPD and how you connect with your peers to share good practice. And that's it. It usually lasts about 1.5 hours, but we do allow 2 hours just in case there are any technical issues or we need a few more breaks. The value of your work is an area we really focus on in the professional discussion. So the next slide goes into that in a little bit more depth about what we mean when we talk about impact. A core theme of our work as people professionals is delivering positive change through our initiatives. At CIPD, we sometimes refer to this as, it's not the what, but the so what of your work. And demonstrating this so what in your professional discussion is key. So reflecting on those people and change initiatives you've led, think about how your solutions met the needs of different stakeholders in your business. What was the positive change and how did you know your initiatives were successful? The timescales of impact differ according to the level of membership you're going for. And I can see from the poll that some of you are going for associate member, so you would expect impact to be over months. I can see the majority of you here are looking perhaps at chartered member, and so we're expecting the impact to be medium to long term. So that's value which is sustained over more than a year. And those of you going for Chartered Fellow, the timescales for demonstrating impact is over the long term. So that's value which has been sustained over a number of years. And you can evidence impact in two ways. Firstly, by using data and metrics, which show the measurable value of the change. So things like productivity measures, maybe engagement survey results, absence data, or DE&I metrics. We call this quantitative evidence. Other evidence you may have may not include explicit data or metrics, but still demonstrates that change has taken place. We call this qualitative evidence. And examples of this could be feedback from stakeholders or focus groups that you've held. It may be skills gaps are now being met, or there's been a positive cultural change. So spend some time pulling this information together beforehand and make sure to select examples that have been implemented and evaluated. Doing this will ensure that you set yourself up to have a positive and rich professional discussion. Before we close, I'd like to share some further practical steps you can take to help prepare for your assessment. Firstly, take the pre-assessment tool, which will help you evaluate your current skills and knowledge. Reflect on your career journey, focusing on key achievements and learning experiences. Collect examples of your work that demonstrates the value of your work and engage with your peers. Join the CIPD Experience Assessment community to connect with peers and get support from others going through this process. You could ask colleagues and mentors for feedback and their perspective on your work. But try and stay positive and seek support. Our role as assessors is to ensure that we support you and give you the best opportunity to demonstrate your experience and expertise. There's no hidden agenda, there's no tricks. The professional discussion is all about you and how you're applying your expertise. There are a lot of resources you can make use of on the CIPD website that can help. Our candidate guidance document gives you the questions that you will be asked and further examples of impact. We also have video guides on the Learning Hub, which you can access once you've registered. We want all our routes into membership to be as inclusive and accessible to our members as possible. And whilst we just talked you through the standard approach to experience assessment, we also understand that one size doesn't fit all. That's why we also offer a range of support options if you need an adjustment, for example, for neurodivergency. So when you register for experience assessment, you will have the opportunity to tell us about this so that we can support you in the most suitable way. We also know from our members there can be concern about what happens if you're not successful in achieving the membership grade you've applied for. Just out of curiosity though, before we get to that, here's a little poll to find out what you think are the success rates. So on average, what percentage of people who do experience assessment do you think don't meet the membership grade they've applied for? Okay, I can see that the majority of you think it's about 10%. Some of you think it's about 17%. Well, I'm pleased to say it's actually about 4%. So in actual fact, you will see that due to pre-screening by yourself and by us, we also screen your CV for risk. The percentage who don't achieve their design membership level is actually very low. However, if this does happen, we've got a lot of support in place to help you. So first of all, your assessor will look to see if you've met the standards for other levels of membership. And so, for example, if you applied for Chartered Fellow, but the assessor felt you didn't meet that, but that you did meet the standards for Chartered Member, you would be awarded Chartered Member. You also have one free opportunity to retake the assessment within the next 12 months. You will have the support of a dedicated assessor who will coach you through your examples and make sure you're ready for that reassessment. You will also have a bespoke reassessment, so it's tailored to just the areas that you didn't meet the first time around. There's no written assessment again. So hopefully that might allay your fears if the worst does happen. And it's not the worst, because actually most people tell us it's actually been a real learning experience for them. Okay, I'm now going to pass you back to Zoe.
Great. So thank you both Maggie and Tisha. Hopefully that has helped to break down some of the concerns that people have. We've got lots of questions coming up in the chat, and we'll let those kind of keep piling up ready for Maggie and Tisha. But I mentioned at the start, really keen for you all to hear from people who've been through the assessment. So Stacey, I think you are on the call here with us. I wonder if you'd be happy just to come on, introduce yourself. I know that you went through experience assessment in July of this year. Be good to hear your experience and how you can bring it to life for those people on the call.
Sure, thank you, Zoe. So hi, my name's Stacey Hinge. I've been in the people profession now for quite a few years, well in excess of 10. To kind of just, I guess, to emphasise some of the stuff that Maggie and Tisha went through in their sections was experience assessment is something that I put off for quite some time, a little bit fearful of the unknown, didn't know what to expect, thought I was going to have a grilling at an interview, was quite fearful of the process. So I'd absolutely not prioritised my own development, and earlier on this year decided to bite the bullet. It was really important for me to get that professional credibility of going through the experience assessment. So yeah, my experience was a fantastic one, I have to say. My assessor was just fantastic in my professional discussion at putting me at ease. We had a really good conversation and it felt like a good conversation. But to Tisha's point, really, I did feel incredibly well prepared. I'd absolutely read the professional standards for the level that I took, so I upgraded to chartered member. And can't emphasize enough just going through and thinking back through those examples. And as somebody that's not a natural reflector, it was a great process for me to kind of go back and really pull out some of that, the examples of initiatives, programs that I'd been involved in that had really made a difference in the organization that I work in. So I have to say the kind of the guidance that the CIPD produces to help you through the experience assessment was fantastic. And I genuinely believe that that's what meant that I had a great professional discussion. So yeah, please, try not to be too fearful. I was absolutely in that camp, but my experience has been just an absolutely fantastic one. And obviously I'm very proud to have my chartered membership badge to display at the end of it. So yeah, an all-round great experience, but I was completely fearful at the beginning. So I know a lot of you will be feeling the same way. So back yourself, be confident, and just be guided by the CIPD, because the material is genuinely second to none. So a fantastic experience for me.
Stacey, thank you so much. We didn't prep you on what to say, and we genuinely wanted to hear your experience. So it was interesting, you said there that you put that off for a long period. In hindsight, do you wish you'd done it earlier, or was it about timing for you? Help us understand that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I absolutely wish I'd done it earlier. It was again, I think it was the fear that made me think, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Am I in the right place for it? Am I prepared for it? And perhaps the kind of the Teams element made me a little bit more relaxed as to not feeling like I'm going into a big interview. So I think the digitization of it definitely helped for me. And, I had Post-it notes around my whole computer screen of all my examples, even though I knew them, but that gave me some comfort that I was ready if Gary asked me the questions. So Gary was my assessor. So yeah, absolutely wish I'd done it sooner. But a big tick in the box for me for my professional credibility within the profession. So yes.
Right. And I think all the team are people who've worked within the HR profession, and we all know that it's very easy to focus on other people's development. We always fall to the back, And then there is that fear of failure, there's that imposter syndrome, there's all sorts of things caught up in that. So actually, you know, there's a lot of love for you coming up on the chat as well, because I think it doesn't matter what we say, it's always great to hear from people who've been through that. So really appreciate you giving up your time. Now, we were due to have Alex on the call. I'm not sure, I know Alex was due to join later because of a prior meeting. Not sure whether, Alex, you've been able to join?
Yep, I'm here.
Brilliant. So Alex, a similar question really to you. It's just giving your insight, your experience, any hints, tips, or what you wish you'd known before you started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my name's Alex McCall. I'm the head of organisational development at and culture at the BFI, British Film Institute. And I think for me, I almost felt like a bit of a fraud going up front first, like thinking I don't have enough experience. I haven't demonstrated enough impact. And I went for the chartered fellow level of experience assessment from nil. So I didn't do an upgrade. I literally started from scratch. And like, you know, thinking back, I was thinking, well, ultimately, I'm the person who knows my experience. I'm the person who knows the sorts of things that I've gone through and have developed and have failed in, and that's credible experience to kind of bring forward as a part of the assessment. And there is this huge big fear around imposter syndrome and making sure that you're the right sort of person to demonstrate the levels of experience that are required. But actually, I was just in my own head a lot of the time. I should have just listened to my friends, my family, my peers, my mentor and coach. And going through the assessment process, it was nerve-wracking. I did feel as if I wasn't good enough at various different points, but the questions were written in such a way in the written assessment to really help me reflect and channel any of that nervousness and doubt into something that actually I could be quite proud of afterwards. Reading it back, I'm kind of thinking, wow, I've managed to do all of that in about 10 years. That's crazy, but that's the sort of thing that this process does force you to do, which is challenging, but a really good thing, because I don't think within the people profession we do that enough, frankly. And tips, definitely I should have done it earlier. I should have gone for chartered member first, if I think that probably would have settled my nerves a little bit better. But also another thing like that really helped me, I'm neurodivergent, I'm dyslexic, so if you are neurodivergent, definitely disclose. You will get tons of support through this process. It is to support your needs, and that's something that I definitely in this process, feeling comfortable enough to explore all the various different elements that needed to be explored throughout the process. And I guess I wish I'd heard it before, but you are the expert of your own experience. No one else knows your experience as well as you do. So really and truly, if you do know your own experience, then you're good for it. You'll be able to be fine and sail through it. There's not much more to it than that.
I love that strap line. Yeah, you know your own experience. And it sounds to me then, Alex, then it's given you that new sense of confidence, purpose, motivation is what I hear coming through the screen. I don't know, you're nodding your head in agreement there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there is, with this sort of thing, I personally always think, well, it's for myself to be able to say that I have met the professional standards and I can stand quite strongly as someone with the professional backing behind me. But actually, it's also something that is quite useful to be able to refer back to when, those moments of doubt, when you do have those moments where actually it's quite handy to go back to the resources and review various different things that we still need to live and work.
Likely there, but really appreciate you coming in, and I think you were making an important point there that you gain the membership, you gain the accreditation, the letters after your name, but actually you gain that much wider community, the resources and everything to enable you to keep achieving and keep doing your best within role. Yeah,
Exactly that. Yep.
Brilliant. Listen, both, thank you both for giving up your time, and for all those on the call, I can see there's a lot of love given both for Stacey and Alex. We reached out and asked for honest feedback. We didn't tell them what to say, but I think we hear it time and time again. People who've been through the assessment actually come out with a new sense of confidence about what they can do. Equally, when we work with large organisations who do experience assessment through, actually what they notice is a new level of capability that they see from the team. Their HR function are more confident to challenge factor senior leaders and really kind of embed change that's much more aligned and purposeful. So thank you both. Now I can see we've had a number of questions pop up in the chat, which has been great. And I did say that we would come back to that through the session here. So if, brilliant, we can see your faces on the screen so I can ask some questions. Now, there was a question early on in terms of costs for experience assessment, and there was a question about whether upgrading was more relevant. If I just answer that before going on, for those of you on the call, experience assessment is a direct route for membership. If you have completed an advanced level 7 diploma or equivalent, it means that actually you've already shown us all the knowledge you need that we would be assessing against the experience assessment, against the membership standards. So there is a condensed assessment that might be right for you, and there are different price points. So I have put a link to the prices within the chat, and if you're not sure whether your previous qualification enables you to do a condensed assessment, I've included an email address where you can reach out to a member of the team and they can look into your detail in your situation in a more detail. Tisha, a question for you. There's a question about someone who's been working in a range of different jobs, not sure how they'll be able to draw on experience if they work from a number of different employers. Just if you can offer some reassurance on that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, to say up front, working in a number of successive fixed term roles or being consultant contractor doesn't prevent anyone from succeeding in experience assessment. In fact, a significant number of our successful applicants coming through experience assessment exemplify typically those sorts of roles. Importantly, this is not about the job that you're doing, but really about your skills and knowledge and how you're delivering that impact. So, what we find is, that the membership standards that talk about kind of strategic insight and the way that you engage with your stakeholders and the impact that you're creating for your various organizations are exactly in line with our membership standards. So absolutely not an issue at all.
Brilliant. Maggie, if I come to you, there have been various questions in terms of that evidence window. So I wonder if you can clarify that for us first off, particularly if people have perhaps taken some time out of the workplace.
Yes, we ask you to use examples from the past 5 years because we want currency of experience, but we do appreciate that some people will have had time out from work within those 5 years on the grounds of protected characteristics. So we will obviously take that into account. So for example, if you've had a year out, you can go back 6 years to draw on your experience. But everyone has individual situations. So if you would like to discuss in more depth your individual situation, please do contact us contact the Experience Assessment team, and the email will be put on our final slide before we leave today, but I will put it in the chat as well. But yeah, it's 5 years for most people.
And following on, there was a subsequent question on that. How does providing examples over the past 5 years apply when applicants have left their previous employer? Yeah. So I think over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we understand people move jobs quite quickly, or some people stay, but it's actually more rare now for people to stay in the same job for the past 5 years. So you know which example will be the best for you to draw on over those 5 years. And it can be from different organisations. It doesn't have to be from the same organisation. So you can draw examples from a range of organisations. It really, what would be the best example to answer the question that we're asking you, either in the written submission or in the professional discussion. And sort of, I think, so we connect to that there've been a few questions about, well, what if I can't get the evidence because I've left the organisation? And yeah, absolutely. And particularly if you work in a consultancy capacity, you often go into an organisation, you set things up, and then you step out, and you won't have access perhaps to the long-term impact evidence. And we completely understand that. So if that is the case, or I can see somebody asked, well, what if the company is actually abroad? And I'm assuming means you can't get access either. So what we ask for you there is to talk us through the impact, what you put in place before you left the organisation to ensure impact would happen. And ideally, what were the initial indicators to suggest longer term impact or value? So I'm sure there probably is qualitative evidence that you can draw on, and expectations, before you left, it looked like things were going in the right direction, because already, for example, the Pulse survey, which is taken every month, was showing indicators for whatever it was you had put in place, the scores were going higher. So it's really about both that qualitative and quantitative, and what you put in place to ensure impact would happen, so that we can see that the value that you have created maybe did actually happen, even though you've got not all the quantitative evidence to demonstrate that.
Great. So Maggie, thank you for that. So really, in summary, this is an assessment, and a flexible assessment. We recognise that people move. We're a global assessment organisation, so irrespective of where you are in the world, it's thinking about the work that you've done, the experience that you've gained, and how that's aligned to our professional standards. So hopefully Maggie has reassured you there. Ollie, I'm not sure if you are still on the call and able to answer a question. Lovely. There's a question here from Dale. What is the value of accreditation and membership for L&D professionals? The membership resources are heavily geared towards HR professionals. Now that got a few thumbs up and love, so I thought we should address that and clarify that for people.
Yeah, so we have been trying to shift that over the last couple of years. There's been more dedicated content in people management for L&D professionals specifically. We've been producing a separate version of our PM Daily newsletter focused on L&D issues rather than HR generalists issues as well. There's a couple of major reports we still issue each year on the topics of learning and skills. So it's definitely an area where I agree we can do more on it, but we have been trying to issue more specific dedicated resources for L&D professionals. I mentioned those essential insights programs that we have on our Learning Hub. Several of those are dedicated specifically to L&D issues, and a couple of the introductory programs are as well. So whilst I'd agree, we don't have as much for L&D professionals specifically as we do for your HR generalists. We're growing the range of things that we're able to offer, and we recognise that L&D is a hugely important part of the function, and it's one that we most definitely need to continue supporting through our resources and our products. So we'll be making sure we absolutely do that.
Brilliant, thank you, Ollie. I'll just do a few more questions because conscious of time, but it's really great to see so many of you staying on the call. So we'll just make sure that we've addressed as many as we can. There was a question, Amanda, I know that I can see you've taken an extended career break to raise children. You've been back in HR for the last 18 months. Would you still qualify? Yes, you would. What we would encourage you and any others in your situation to do is look at the membership standards. We've got a pre-assessment on our website, which you can go in and it will let you see the type of questions you'll be asked through the full assessment. And it's for you to reflect, do you have within that 18 months the breadth of experience needed to achieve membership now? It comes down to what's your motivation for applying now. You may want to wait a little bit longer to ensure you've got more consistency in terms of projects that you've led on. We may be able to look at some of your career your career break. So have a look at the pre-assessment tool and think more in terms of, have you done that? Have you got the experience? And then we can have a look at any time extension we may need to offer you or others like you. We've got questions in terms of how long it takes to hear back. The process, when you register, you submit your registration form and you send in a copy of your CV. We screen all applications, as Maggie and Tisha alluded to in the call. We do that as another safeguard to make sure that those apply are doing it at a point that we feel confident you're set for success. You should normally hear back from us within 7 working days at the outset, at the outside. It shortly will put an email address up on the screen. So if you've been waiting longer than that, or if you want to check where your application is, we'll give you an email address so you can follow that up. So I think I am coming to the end of the questions. Somebody has asked about payment and payment options. So what we recognise is, for those of you paying individually, we are able to offer some payment plans where you are able to pay over monthly instalments. So if that is of interest to you, again, we will put the details on the screen at the end of the call, and you can follow that up. But we do look at payment options. A high number of applicants are actually funded by their employer, so that's why it's not a default option, but that option is available. Okay, I think I am getting to the end of it all. So while I scan the last of the questions, I think what we wanted to do is just put up a poll at the end, really for our benefit, to see how helpful, how confident you would feel about applying for experience assessment now. And this really, as I say, is an internal measure for us to see how helpful you found the webinar, or if there is more information that we should consider next time. So if we put the poll in the chat, the follow-up, and let's see how the level of confidence, and we'll be able to follow that up. Okay, so I think that we have addressed most questions, and those of you who've got particularly niche queries, as I can see somebody has, here's the email address. Please do reach out with any particular questions you have at the end of the call, and we just would be very happy to kind of follow up and pick up with you and help you support your professional membership journey. What we have also done is included on the end slide here a link to the registration form. if it's something that you're thinking of, please do kind of have a look at the registration form. You can submit that. You then have a period of time. You can select a start date at a time that suits you. It's a really flexible assessment. If you wanted to start on a Thursday afternoon or a Sunday evening, you determine the timelines, and we really hope that you've found the session helpful. And actually, what was brilliant, just like to say a big shout out to Alex and Stacey again, who I think really kind of brought the session to life for us. So thank you, and we look forward to perhaps welcoming some of you into professional membership in the future. All right, thank you.